Good afternoon and welcome back to Winchester News Online. I'm your host Amelia Hopkinson. Coming up, runners take to the street of Winchester for the annual half marathon. Preparations are in full swing for Green Week. And a stinger of a story, it's all about Hornets. Last Sunday was the date of the annual half marathon, where teachers, solicitors, bankers and builders all joined together to run 13 miles across Winchester. Our reporter Harry Jewell ran down to town to find out more.
While this may not be the idea of fun for everybody on a Sunday morning, clearly it was for these keen marathon runners. While some runners took part to break a personal best, other runners took part to raise money for charity.
Yes, so for this race, our main charity partner is Naomi House and Jack's Place, and then we also support Winchester Hospice, Winchester Hospital Charity and Wessex Heartbeat. The race started back in 2016, and since then I think about £50,000 has been raised for charities.
Naomi's House and Jack's Place are one of the charities that depend on the Winchester Half Marathon. They were unavailable for an interview today, but they did provide us with the following statement.
Each year we have several runners of whom take part in the race to raise vital funds to enable us to continue to provide care and support to seriously ill children and young adults who need it the most. We are entirely grateful for the ongoing support of Team Naomi runners and are thankful to the organisers of the Winchester Half Marathon.
While the half marathon included experienced runners, there were also runners new to the sport.
It's my first ever race. I've only ever done 2 park runs and wanted to challenge myself. I'm a teacher, so kind of inspire my students. So yeah, that's why I'm running today.
We were going for completing. We're doing a marathon next month, so we will use this as a training run.
There were some tough moments, but yeah, it's so rewarding. And it was great organisation, like to have so many supporters here as well. People clapping like throughout each part of it was fantastic. So it's something that I'd definitely do again, but not right now.
The big part is made. Well done, Harry.
Thousands of pounds have been raised for charity at this year's Winchester Half Marathon, along with numerous personal bests. Harry Jewell, Winchester News Online.
Train strikes return once again this coming week, with 2 days of strikes planned and disruption expected around these days. Earlier I spoke to Jamie, who was at Winchester train station.
Yes, that's right. More train strikes are set to take place this coming week. These strikes have been affecting travellers on and off since June 2022 and are in place due to a dispute over pay and work conditions. These strikes will take place on Saturday the 30th of September and Wednesday the 4th of October, which will see RMT and ASTIF union members walk out of working. Workers on the Tube and London Underground will also walk on these days, causing disruption in the capital. But here's how the lines will be affected here in Winchester. South Western Railway will run an extremely limited service, with the Great Western Railway running a reduced and revised timetable with short notice alterations and cancellations likely, and for cross-country services there will be no trains at all. An overtime ban is also in place for ASTIF union members, which is an operation just short of a strike. This will take place on the 29th of September and the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th of October. Back to you.
Winchester train station has also been labelled a hotspot for bike theft. Molly is here with me to explain a little bit more. So Molly, tell me about what's been going on.
So the train station has become a bit of a hotspot, as you said, for bike theft because a lot of people are leaving their bikes unattended for a while. People are coming along with, well, it's been reported that people are coming along with bolt cutters to like free the bikes and they're just taking them in broad daylight.
Wow, so these bikes are getting stolen, like what kind of people do they belong to?
So mostly commuters, because obviously, like I just said, they're being left unattended for a while. But people who are leaving Winchester, going to maybe Southampton, which is obviously not that far away, but still far enough away for people to be able to come in and take the bikes. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I think there's been, well, it's been reported that there's been 46 bikes stolen this past month.
And you said there's been 46 bikes stolen, quite a lot. So what are the police doing about this?
So the British Transport Police are trying to patrol the area, like to ensure that people aren't taking them. However, it doesn't seem to have been the most successful. In town, it's been reported that a few of the bike cafes, such as Bespoke Biking and the South Downs Cafe, as well as the Handlebar Cafe, have all had bikes stolen from them too. But the British Transport Police are trying to police it better, so they're going around and doing drop-in sessions where people can learn about different locks and marking their bikes up.
Well, hopefully we can get this sorted soon. Thank you so much for that, Molly. So now that we are officially in autumn and the weather is quickly getting cooler and more miserable, there are several checks we should be making on our cars. Here's what I checked out before I set off this morning. So let's start under the bonnet. First of all, you want to check your oil levels, your engine coolant levels and your screen wash levels. So next up, we're going to check our windscreen wipers. We're just checking that there isn't any splitting, any damage, any fraying, anything like that. Perfect. Now let's go to our tyres. Same thing again, we're just checking that we can't see any damage. I know mine are a little bit dirty, but they're looking all good and everything. Right, let's go to the fuel tank. So I know it might sound basic, but just make sure you've got enough fuel in your car. In the winter weather, conditions aren't great and traffic's a lot worse, so very stop-starty. So yeah, make sure you're all filled up. Right, let's get in the car. Now it's time to check the electricals inside the car. So first of all, I'm going to start it up. If it wants to start, we're just going to check our lights. So I'm going to turn those on. Then we're going to give our hazards a go. They're all working. And yeah, pretty good. So if you completed all those checks and everything is looking fine, you're good to go. So let's go. As we leave summer and head into the autumn, you'll start to see fewer and fewer bees around. But if we're not careful, by next summer, sightings of our buzzing friends could dwindle even further, thanks to the Asian hornet. Owen Noon talks us through this unwanted visitor.
The bee, an insect we see all summer long with such an important role, but beekeepers from all around Hampshire and the south coast are now appealing to the public to be on high alert for a dangerous bee killer, the Asian hornet. The Asian hornet is a non-native invasive species of hornet that originated in China and was accidentally introduced into Europe around 2004. The National Bee Unit, or NBU, are calling this an epidemic and are doing all they can to try and make sure that the hornets cannot establish themselves here in England. But why exactly are they so dangerous?
Well, the problem with the Asian hornet is that they capture other insects. They will capture a honeybee, for example, and they basically break it into three parts, and they take the middle part, the thorax, back to feed their young. And if there are a large number of Asian hornets, they will simply destroy a bee's hive completely and just wipe it out. The real danger to people is if they come across the Asian hornet nest. If they feel threatened, they will attack in force. So basically, if you get anywhere near an Asian hornet nest, turn round and make off in the opposite direction as fast as you can.
Asian hornets are actually very easily identifiable. Firstly, they have very prominent yellow legs with an orange face. They are close to completely black, but have one segment on their abdomen which is yellow. In relation to size, they are a little bit smaller than the European hornets that we are more familiar with, but are much bigger than a standard wasp or honeybee with a noticeably larger stinger. John also told me that seasonally the Asian hornet will start to die off as it gets a little bit colder. This happens to be around the end of October time, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep an eye out for them. Because now we know what they look like and how to identify them, the question is, what do we do if we actually see one?
The public really need to be aware that if they see the Asian hornet, it's a reportable pest, so they should report it. But also if they see a nest, they must let someone know very quickly, and under no circumstances should they ever try to approach it. The ideal situation would be that they have their smartphone on which they download an app called the Asian Hornet Watch. And all you do with that is you see the insect or the nest, you point the phone, press the button, it will take a screenshot so they know exactly where the sighting has taken place. The public are absolutely critical in this. We depend enormously on them to tell us what they've seen. That's the main message, really.
The Hampshire Bee Association and NBU are now calling on the government to put in the correct measures by next year to help stop the Asian hornet and protect our bees. They're asking the public to remain vigilant and are urging everybody to be safe and play their part. Owen Noon, Winchester News Online.
Climate change has been a big topic with the delay of banning petrol cars and with constant threat to our nature. But Winchester is taking the climate emergency in their own hands this week with their very own Green Week. I spoke to Sinead Cochrane, who was by the River Itchen earlier.
Thank you, Amelia. Yes, this week is Winchester Green Week with the aim to educate the local people on how they can do their bit to help stop the climate emergency. Local businesses, schools and churches are coming together to help learn, act and grow. I spoke to Claire Shorter from the Winchester Action and Climate Change Group about what we can do.
The valuable thing really is you and I are talking about it, and otherwise we wouldn't meet, we wouldn't talk, and we can talk about the issues and we can learn from each other and all find out more. Everybody's got something to learn.
I'll be getting involved and covering the 4 weeks events. Back to you in the studio.
If you are a fan of Greek food, we have some good news. Yayas is finally reopening and Louis Daly has more on this.
After opening in November of 2022, the company saw a short 8 months of business before closing in July this year.
I'm a popular Greek restaurant, Yayas, on St George's Street in Winchester that is set to reopen in early October.
With growing pressure on high street businesses, everybody hopes that this restaurant can stay afloat. I'm Louis Daly with Winchester News Online.
And that's all our news for today. Thank you very much for watching and we will see you next week. Bye!